Well, I'm back for another Richter's reviews of another horror film. I'm glad that you enjoyed the last two reviews, Twisted Nightmare and The Goonies. So today it is Friday the 12th, and I'm going to do a review of Unmasked Part 25. And I do appreciate all the comments that have been left down below on the other videos, so hopefully you enjoy this review of Unmasked Part 25. Um, not a lot of there's a lot of fans of this film, and there's a lot of people that may not have noticed or have heard of this film. So I try to do reviews of movies that not only that I particularly like, but movies that aren't as much well known as others. But anyway, Unmasked Part 25 was released by Vinegar Syndrome on Blu-ray, and it came out in I believe it's the 2019, so it's not been out very long. I originally saw Unmasked Part 25 in I believe it was 1990, so it's been 30 years since I've actually seen this movie. Not since I've seen this movie, but 30 years ago that I actually saw this film. I've seen it probably about 40 times in that time period, and I used to own it on VHS from a video store that was going out of business, so I bought it. I don't really have a VHS anymore, so I was waiting for it to come out on DVD, and waited and waited and waited, and it never came out. So now it's on Blu-ray, so I own it. Now the Vinegar Syndrome has the slipcover. Now the slipcover has an embossed Unmasked Part 25 here, and it's got some kind of like I don't know if you can see that, but there's like some kind of braille or something right there where people can't see. But that's really cool. I like how they got that little slip cover. And this is the original VHS cover. The inside also contains the DVD, so you get the DVD and the Blu-ray. The special features on here are an audio commentary by the director and an audio commentary by the writer-producer, and it has an original trailer. Now you could also have subtitles on this as well. Now, Unmasked Part 25, the basic plot of this, there is no 1 through 24. So if you're thinking about, well, what happened to the other 24 films? There never was any 24 films. It originally was called Hand of Death, or Hands of Death, and there's also been known as The Hand of Death, and also known as Unmasked Part 25, The Hands of Death. Anyway, the main reason why it's called this is because at that point, when it came out in 1988, when it was made in 1988, I believe it didn't get released until 89. But 1988, there had already been like 7 Friday the 13th. There had been like 4 Nightmare on Elm Streets. Halloween was coming back for its 4th film. You know, I mean, there was just a lot of sequels. So they wanted to make a kind of a spoof horror film, and Anders Palm was the director of this film. He has done some other stuff as well, and he still works in the industry. And Mark Cutforth is the one who wrote the story. If you do buy this, definitely listen to the commentary. It's pretty interesting. Unmasked Part 25 it's about a run-of-the-mill hockey mask serial killer. And his name is Jackson, not Jason. So you've got, and he's played by Gregory Cox. So Jackson is pretty much just killing people, and then he falls in love with this blind woman, which, if you've seen the Toxic Avengers, Toxic Avenger actually falls in love with a blind woman. And I don't know if the director had saw that part, or because it didn't get released until '89, and Toxic Avenger didn't get released 2 and didn't get released to 89, and then the third one came out in 91. But it's a horror comedy, so he falls in love with this blind woman, and what was funny seeing in the film is both him and her go to a Halloween shop. He's already wearing a mask, and she grabs a mask that looks just almost identical to his, and so he doesn't feel lonely walking around wearing a mask. He does take the mask off when it's just him and her in her place. And a little backstory to this. his father was actually a killer. So he goes and visits his dad and tries to figure out why he keeps continuing to kill people when that's not what he wants to keep doing. And pretty much he just kills people, and there's pretty good special effects and blood in this film. Um, I always liked the film because it's not only trying to do what Jason has done with the Friday the 13th films, but it's trying to do kind of like a spoof of that, and it being a British film, because a lot of British accents are you can hear a lot of British accents in this, and it's got a lot of the actors that played in this movie have not acted anymore. Some have actually are still acting. And a little known fact is one of the Brando, I think his name was, I can't quite remember his name offhand, but I think his name was Christian Brando, which is Marlon Brando's son. He plays in this film. Of course, he's no longer alive. And, a lot of, it was kind of interesting to realize that Marlon Brando's son was in a horror film in 1988. But Unmasked Part 25 got its great moments. It's very let's just say this much, it's for acquired taste. If you like to have blood and gore and killing and a little comedic moments in it, this is for you. If you're not looking into that kind of horror film, you're more into the serious kind of horror films, or just basic straight line horror films, then this is not for you. But if you're more into okay, this is funny, this guy is doing these weird things and talking to the camera and things, then you enjoy this. Unmasked Part 25 has been an oddity for a lot of horror fans. Now, I know that now that it's out on Vinegar Cinema, people can actually watch it and rent it. Another film that recently came out, Edge of the Axe, which is one that I need to acquire. I do have that on VHS, but I would like to get that on Blu-ray. And Edge of the Axe is another film that is underrated and doesn't get a lot of attention. Now, Unmasked Part 25, first time I saw this, I immediately just kept watching it. And then for many years, I didn't have a copy of it, so then I bought a VHS copy of it, and then I kept it. And then I think it was like 1990, I actually got rid of it, which was stupid of me, and I never owned a copy until 2019 when this came out. And I'm kind of glad that it did. There's certain horror films that I still like to own that have come out on Blu-ray. One, like I said, one is Edge of the Axe. Another is Spookies. One is called Pledge Night. Pledge Night's another one. But other than all that, the acting, let's say the acting is kind of, it was okay. I mean, it definitely has some bad, atrocious acting in it. But you got to remember, this is more kind of like a spoof of the Friday the 13th films, and it does what it accomplishes to do. Now, if you do not want to hear this is kind of a spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie, you can fast forward through this little part here. But Unmasked Part 25, he goes and kills his girlfriend, the blind girl. He kills all the people that he went to like a pub, and he kills them because they try to run him off. He runs off. He stabs one of them. He runs off, and then they go to chase him, and he disappears. So he ends up calling them they're at a place, and he goes in there and kills them. And at the end of the film, after he kills those people, and then he goes to his girlfriend and kills her, he goes back to wearing the trench coat, walking down the street, and wearing the mask, and he sees up on a marquee on a theater saying The Hands of Death Part 26, which, like I said, that was the original title of the film. And he starts screaming, oh no, because he knows that there's another sequel coming after he's done all what he's done. So it's a definitely tongue-in-cheek kind of ending, and it's a film that I don't think will ever get any other sequels. I don't think everybody will ever remake it. It's kind of it's a one picture film, or you could say a standalone film, and it definitely does what it accomplished to do. The director, he did what he needed to do. The writer wrote what he had to say, and the rest is history. So now, being 30 some years old, this film does hold up to some, because it doesn't really have a lot of it has a lot of practical effects. It doesn't have a lot of special effects. It's more like the blood and the guts and the masks and props and things like that. So there's no CGI. So definitely it holds up as far as that goes. Now the acting, some of the actors, like I said, have went on to other things. Gregory Cox still acts today. He actually played in one of the newer Star Trek films. The guy who played his father, Edward Breshaw, he actually died like a couple years after this film was made. And the lady that his blonde girlfriend was Fiona Evans. I think she did like one other credit to her name, but after that she was out of the industry. But let me read just a little bit of what it says on the back, so if you're interested in purchasing. Jackson is your run-of-the-mill hockey mask wearing psychotic killer. Hideously deformed, he spends his time stalking and brutally murdering oversexed young people in a variety of nasty methods. But then he meets Shelley, a young blind woman who appreciates him as a person. It helps that she can't see the carnage he leaves at every turn. Finding himself falling in love for the first time, Jackson decides that it might be time to finally hang up his cutlery and settle into a happy life of domestic bliss. But can he really overcome his bloodthirsty impulse? He definitely doesn't. Unmasked Part 25, in my book, in my opinion, I would give it a 8.5, maybe a 9, because of the way it was filmed, the dark and dreamy moments in the film, the various different things, the character of Jackson wearing a trench coat, he actually smokes a cigarette with a mask on, and the lines that he says in the films, like, you can run, but I'm just going to come back and kill you, or it's just pointless. Why do you run? Why do you scream? It's pointless because I'm going to kill you. And it's just different things like that he does in the film. And I liked the directing part of the film, that it was not made in America. There is a scene in the film that they mentioned that all this about, like, the Friday the 13th, that it was at a lake and all these people were killed. But yeah, and to close out the review, Unmasked Party 25, if would I recommend it for people who like horror films? I would recommend it for people who enjoy a fun, cheesy film that doesn't have to use a lot of your brain cells for this. It does, like I said, it does have comedic moments. It does have a lot of ludicrous acting in it. But if you look beside all that, you can actually sit down and enjoy the film because it's crazy, it's silly. But all in all, it's definitely worth a look for horror fans. Would I recommend it to fans that are more into psychological thrillers or straight narrow horror films? No. But if anybody who likes to enjoy like cheesy films like Pledge Night or Spookies or Twisted Nightmare, this is definitely one you should watch. So thank you for watching this review of Unmasked Part 25. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below if you liked the video, and leave a like, and I'll catch you on the next review.